before you entered this world, the choice was already made is a truth that most people can only sense but cannot articulate with logic. There was a moment when the soul appeared before the body was created, before you cried for the first time, before you saw physical light. At that level, you were not a human being. You were pure awareness. And you already knew exactly what this life would be. There is no randomness in your presence here. There is no mistake in your appearing at this moment. There is no soul falling into the wrong family or wrong space. Your soul was not drawn by chance to fall into this body. It entered exactly where it had chosen beforehand. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. It was something you had agreed to step into. At the soul level, every choice was made from frequency, not from the need to escape anything. You chose the family based on the lesson you needed. You chose the nation based on the environment you had to experience. You chose the gender based on the qualities you wanted to activate. Nothing is random. Everything is structure. Before coming into this world, you had seen the version of yourself that had grown. You had seen the parts that would collapse. You had seen the moments when you thought you could not get through. You had seen the years when you would ask why everything was so difficult. And you still chose. You chose because the soul is not governed by fear. It is guided by evolution. When the soul enters the physical space, it must forget everything. It forgets where it came from. It forgets the original decision. It even forgets why it chose this place. That forgetting is part of the journey. You are not allowed to remember why you came here. Because if you remember, you cannot learn the lesson through lived experience. You only learn through knowledge. But the soul does not grow through knowledge. It grows through experience. From the moment you entered this world, everything had been arranged. The people you meet, the challenges you face, the relationships that uplift you and the relationships that hurt you, nothing comes to harm you. Everything comes to remind you of a deeper truth that you chose this journey to transform. There is a moment in every life when everything becomes too heavy to continue living the old way. That is not a breakdown. That is an awakening. Your soul placed the right moment, the right event, the right person to activate the transformation within you. When you say, "Why is this happening to me?" your soul is answering that it is happening for me. Everything you have ever called failure, loss, rejection, collapse is only part of a bigger plan. They do not come to stop you. They come to push you back to the place your soul had chosen from the beginning. And when you look back, you begin to see a strange synchronicity. The most important events of your life were not created by you. They arrived at the right time, the right person, the right form. Before you came into this world, your life had already opened as a door, and you stepped through without hesitation. You were not placed here to survive. You were sent here to awaken. You are not here to repeat the old story. You are here to rewrite it. You are not here because you were chosen. You are here because your soul chose. And when you begin to remember this, the story of your life changes. You no longer see life as something that happens to you. You see it as something that happens because of you. And that awareness is the beginning of all transformation. The mother was the first portal, does not begin from the moment you were born. It begins long before that, when your soul stood at the boundary between the physical world and the primordial world. At the deepest layer of reality, no one enters this life without passing through a portal. And the one who serves as the first portal, the most important portal, is the mother. Not because she gave birth to you in a biological sense, but because her soul carries a genetic code of frequency that you need to step into your evolutionary journey. The mother is the first fractal you meet in the physical reality. By looking at her, you see the first structure of the world. By looking into her eyes, you receive the first signal of existence. You did not choose your mother because she was perfect. You chose her because she carried the exact energetic code that helps you open this life. Whether you were born into love or into lack, whether she uplifted you or hurt you, the mother is not just a person. She is a portal. The soul does not choose the easy path. It chooses the right path. Therefore, you were born into the exact family your soul had decided beforehand. You carry the wisdom of past lives. You carry the cracks that need healing. And the mother is the one who holds the key to activate all of it. In the first years of your life, the mother is the world. Everything you know about love, about safety, about boundaries is learned from her energy. Every first signal of life flows through her. You do not learn from language. You learn from frequency. When she holds you, you learn connection. When she is silent, you learn lack. When she keeps distance, you learn independence. Your body stores everything before your mind can understand. What you experience with your mother is not random. It is the first pieces that build your sense of self. She is not the one who created those pieces. She is the portal through which they appear in the physical world. And the interesting thing is that no matter how much you try to forget or deny, that portal never disappears. It continues to manifest in every relationship you have. Because the mother becomes the first model of connection. When you enter adulthood, you look back and begin to ask why the mother was like that. Why she reacted that way. Why she had the limitations that you had to carry. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. The conflicts between you and the mother are not mistakes. They are the collisions of two fractals trying to find their wholeness again. When the mother protects you excessively, that is not only love, it is the unhealed fear within her. When she controls you, that is the fractal of her life expressing itself. When she does not understand you, that is not a lack of care. It is the limit of the frequency she is able to perceive. And when you grow up, you begin to realize the most important thing. The mother does not come to give you everything you want. She comes to give you everything you need. The first portal does not have the duty to keep you there. Its duty is to help you step in. And the mother has done that perfectly in the way your soul requested. The mother was the first portal is not only a truth about the past, it is a reminder that everything you have ever called hurt or loss is only the first part of the journey. The mother is the one who brought you into this world, but the rest of the path is yours. You were not created to repeat her life. You were created to open a different map. You do not need the mother to be perfect to know that she is the right portal. You only need to understand that if your soul chose her, then there is no better choice. The mother is the beginning of everything. And when you look back, you will see that everything in your life began from that portal. The sacred contract between two souls is not a beautiful idea to comfort yourself. It is a truth that operates at the soul level. There is no randomness there. No mistakes. No situation where you fall into a family without a reason. Before two souls enter the physical world, a contract has been created. An agreement signed through awareness, not through words. Two souls meet at a level where there is no time and no space. No body, no memory. Only the pure knowing that you will walk together in the journey of the material world. Your soul saw the soul of your mother. You saw her wounds. You saw her limitations. You saw the challenges she had not passed through in previous lives. And you accepted to be beside her, not to change her, but to complete with her what has not been completed. In return, the mother also saw your soul, not the small version you would become when you were born, but the vast and luminous version of you after passing through countless lifetimes. She saw your abilities, the strengths you carried. She knew you would not come to live an ordinary life. She knew you carried a part of what she had never resolved, and she agreed to be the one who accompanies you in this lesson. This contract is not about perfection. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. That is the soul trying to pull you back to the original agreement. There are connections between you and your mother that cannot be explained by logic. A bond that nothing can break. A conflict that cannot be resolved by reasoning. A sense that you and your mother have known each other long before you arrived here. That is the memory of the soul contract. A memory that cannot be erased, no matter how challenging life becomes. What many people do not realize is that this contract is always bilateral. Not only does the mother come to teach you, you also come to teach the mother. You come to reflect the parts she cannot see. You come to challenge the limits she has accepted. When you do things that anger her, when you live in ways she cannot understand, when you break patterns she has always followed, you are fulfilling your part of the contract. In this connection, no one is wrong. No one is at fault. There are only two souls fulfilling a mission they agreed on long before. The soul does not care about right or wrong by human standards. It only cares about evolution. And the mother is the one chosen to create the environment that activates that evolution. If the mother loves you unconditionally, she teaches you about safety. If she controls you, she teaches you about autonomy. If she abandons you, she teaches you about self-love. If she hurts you, she teaches you how to heal. Every reaction of hers does not only speak about her, it speaks about the lesson you need to enter the next part of your life. The sacred contract between two souls is a reminder that no relationship is deeper than the relationship between you and the mother. No soul comes closer to you than her soul. Not because she is the first person you meet, but because she is the first soul you agreed to walk with. And when you remember this, every wound is no longer a wound. It becomes a map. Every conflict is no longer a barrier. It becomes guidance. Every clash is no longer resistance. It becomes an invitation to a new level of awareness. When you look at the relationship with your mother this way, you will see that neither of you has ever stood on opposite sides. You are only fulfilling two parts of the same contract. A contract created from the love of the soul, not from the perfection of human beings. You also chose the lineage, and the ancestral pattern is not a symbolic idea. It is the next layer of choice. You did not only choose your mother, you also chose the entire lineage that follows her. You chose the energy field of the family. You chose the history of the generations before you. You chose what has been healed and what has never been touched. The soul does not randomly choose where it appears. It chooses a system with a structure aligned with the lesson it needs to experience. Every family is a stream of energy. It stores the imprints of ancestors. It contains fears passed down through many generations. It carries beliefs repeated so often that they become law. And when your soul enters that family, you step into the entire data stream carried through blood. You do not only inherit the appearance, you inherit the energetic map of the lineage. The limitations do not appear from nowhere. They are passed from one generation to the next. The wounds are not only yours, they are echoes of the family's history. The repeating patterns do not appear to punish you. They appear to end with you. When the soul chooses a bloodline, it knows it is inheriting an unfinished story. You did not come to continue that story. You came to write its ending. You are the extension of the souls who could not heal. You are the one given the chance to break what has been repeating. You do not carry karma as a burden. You carry it as a mission. In every family, there are repeating patterns. Broken marriages, women being suppressed, men unable to express emotions, children growing up with emptiness in their hearts. All of these are not isolated stories. They are patterns. They are systems operating repeatedly because no one dared to touch their root. And you are the one chosen to see this pattern more clearly than anyone else. Everyone in your family plays a role in that flow. Your mother as well. She is not only an individual who made mistakes. She is part of a system that has not been healed. Her reactions do not speak only about her. They speak about what existed long before she was born. When she fears, when she controls, when she stays silent, she is simply continuing the story of the lineage in the way she knows. And when you grow up, you begin to see what no one in your family dares to look at. You see the repetitions. You see the same pains. You see the limitations everyone has learned to accept. You see the unspoken truths that have become reality. You see what your soul cannot allow to continue. When you entered this lineage, your soul knew there would be things extremely difficult to overcome. It knew you would face pains the previous souls could not face. It knew you would break patterns that had existed for generations. But it also knew you were the only soul strong enough to do it. You also chose the lineage, and the ancestral pattern is a reminder that what you are healing is not only for yourself. When you stop an old pattern, you stop it for the entire bloodline. When you touch your deepest pain, you touch the pain of all ancestors. When you free yourself from the limitations of your family, you free the generations before you and after you. That is why you do not resemble anyone in the family. You always feel you do not fit, that you see something others cannot see, that there is a part of you wanting to step out of that flow. That is not alienation. That is the sign of a soul awakening. The one who breaks the pattern is never like the ones who maintain it. You are not only sent into a family, you are sent into a system that needs healing. You are not the product of the ancestors. You are the one who ends the cycle of the ancestors. You are not the continuation of limitations. You are the doorway to freedom. And that is exactly why your soul chose this bloodline. Not to become the victim of the old story, but to become the one who rewrites its final chapter. The wound is the activation point is one of the most important truths of the spiritual journey that very few people dare to face. The wound is not the wrong part of life. It is the first signal that awakens your awareness. No pain appears to destroy you. It comes to open the deepest part within you, the part you have never touched, the part your soul knows that if it does not awaken you with a strong collision, you will continue sleeping in your old life. The wound is not an event. It is a portal, an activation, a form of code that your soul installed before you entered this world. When the time comes, it will open at the right time, in the right way, with the right person, in the right circumstance. And you feel it not only with emotion, you feel it with your whole body, as if a part of you cracks open, as if something inside you has been shifted back into the correct position. No one enters life without carrying a wound, but the soul does not let the wound become the ending. It lets it become the beginning. Children who grow up in families with much pain, people who experience deep emotional wounds, souls who face the absence of love, are not weak souls. They are the souls chosen to open the path. They are the ones who carry the power of transformation. Because the wound does not only hurt you, It shows you the truth. When you are hurt, you can no longer hide what is inside you. Pain strips away every wall. It tears down every layer of protection you use to survive. It forces you to look at the part you always avoided. And it is there that the awakening journey begins. What others call a mistake, the soul calls an activation. What you once considered failure is exactly the moment you begin to remember who you are. Every wound you carry contains a message. No tear is meaningless. No event happens accidentally. But to understand this, you must look at the wound through the eyes of the soul, not through the pain of the human. You once believed that if life had not given you those events, you would have become a better version of yourself. But the truth is that without those wounds, you would never change. You would continue living in the repetition of your family. You would remain part of the old pattern. You would never step out of the invisible limits that trapped your parents and ancestors. The wound is the activation point, means that the wound is not just pain. It is an awakening signal. When you experience loss, you learn independence. When you experience betrayal, you learn to trust your intuition. When you experience silence, you learn to hear your inner voice. When you experience lack of love, you learn to love yourself. Every wound is a lesson encoded into your soul. It cannot be avoided. It cannot be bypassed. It can only be opened when you are ready to look at it. You may need years to understand it. You may pass through many relationships to touch it. You may fall into moments that feel like collapse to realize it is not destruction. It is transformation. Every wound carries a gift. But that gift appears only when you are brave enough to open its door. When you keep running away from the pain, you are keeping the lesson alive. When you dare to look at it, when you no longer deny it, when you no longer fear it, you are unlocking the activation code within your soul. You are lifting yourself into a new level of awareness. The wound is the only doorway that leads you to freedom. It breaks the old language of the family. It breaks the ancestral pattern. It breaks the illusion that life is against you. When you dare to step into it, what was once fear becomes strength. What was once limitation becomes mission. What was once pain becomes liberation. Because your soul does not need a perfect life to grow. It needs a life strong enough to activate it. And the wound does that, not with gentleness, but with precision. It touches the exact place that awakens you. It touches the exact part you have forgotten. It touches the exact layer you need to shed. There is no wound in your life that is meaningless. Each wound opens a part of you. Each wound gives you a strength you never knew. Each wound is an invitation for you to step into the journey of the soul. And the strangest thing is, when you look back, you will see that the greatest wounds led you to the most beautiful moments, where you found yourself again, where you saw the light of your true essence, where you no longer wished to return to the old life. The wound is the activation point is not a phrase meant to comfort you. It is the key to open the door you locked long ago. It reminds you that you did not fail. You were not abandoned. You were not hurt to become weak. You were created to rise from that very wound. And when you step through it, you do not only heal yourself, you bring both your soul and your lineage back into alignment. Pain is the point where the soul begins to speak to you. Not to ask whether you can endure it, but to ask whether you are ready to awaken. The mirror and the shadow between you and her is the stage where the hidden truth begins to reveal itself. You have always thought that the relationship with your mother is a story of two different people, two different personalities, two different perspectives. But at the soul level, you and your mother are not two separate stories. You are two reflections of the same source. The things in you that your mother cannot accept are often the very things in her that she has never dared to face. The mother becomes the first mirror reflecting the deepest parts within you. But you also become the mirror reflecting the deepest parts within her. It is not accidental that between you and your mother, there is always an emotional intensity stronger than with anyone else. Love is stronger. Pain is greater. Misunderstanding is deeper. Every emotion is amplified when it appears in this relationship, because this is not a relationship between two humans. It is a relationship between two souls mirroring each other. The moments your mother makes you angry, the moments you feel she is controlling you, the moments she does not understand you, all of these are not just conflicts, they are reflections. When you are triggered by your mother, you are not only reacting to her, you are reacting to the part inside you that you have never resolved. She is the one making that part visible. On the other hand, when your mother reacts to you, she is not only reacting to your action, she is reacting to the part of herself that you are unintentionally exposing. When you are free, she remembers the place where she was once restricted. When you are strong, she remembers the place where she was once weak. When you step outside the pattern, she sees the limits of her life. This is why the relationship between mother and child is rarely neutral. It has never been just a family relationship. It is a soul examination, a challenge through which the two souls open each other's shadow, not to destroy each other, but to illuminate the hidden parts. Shadow is not something bad. Shadow is simply the part of the soul that has not been seen. When your mother hurts you, she is not making you lose. She is illuminating the place you must heal. When you hurt her, you are not attacking her. You are reflecting the place she must open. There is something you must understand. What you hate most in your mother is often exactly what you carry within yourself. But you have never dared to look at it. No one can activate you as deeply as your mother. No one can touch the exact wound like she does, because she is not just a person in your life. She is the one chosen to reflect you. You look at your mother and see the things you cannot accept about yourself. She looks at you and sees the things she cannot face within herself. The tension between the two of you is the tension between two levels of awareness. A part of you wants to break the old pattern. A part of her wants to keep it. When these two forces collide, conflict arises, not to frighten you, but to make you choose. You cannot grow if you cannot see your own shadow. You cannot evolve if you do not face the part you have always run from. The mirror and the shadow between you and her is the stage where you must see the mechanism of this relationship clearly. You begin to see that what you thought was her fault is actually the sign of a part inside you demanding change. When you see this, you stop trying to change your mother. You change yourself. You stop blaming her for what she did not give you. You begin giving yourself what you have never received. You stop reacting from old patterns. You become the one who chooses the response. The mother is no longer the trigger. She becomes the one who helps you see the part you have never seen. You must also see another truth. When you change, the mother also changes, not because you demand it, but because the energy between the two of you no longer operates the same way. The reflection between the two of you only exists when you have not yet found your shadow. When you look at it, accept it, and heal it, the relationship shifts automatically. The mother does not change first. You change first. Not because you are wrong, but because you are the one carrying the higher awareness in the contract. Not because you step down to match her, but because you step up to illuminate both of you. The mirror and the shadow between you and her is the moment you are mature enough to understand that the mother is not the one who created the wound in you. She is the one who helps you see your wound. The mother is not the darkness in your life. She is the mirror reflecting the darkness within you. When you see this clearly, conflict is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a space of awakening. You no longer fear the similarities between you and your mother. You no longer avoid the differences. You begin to see that every interaction has a purpose. Every argument is a message. Every pain is an invitation to a new level of awareness. And when you step into that level, the relationship no longer operates based on old emotions. It becomes a journey of liberation. Not only for the mother, not only for you, but for the entire lineage both of you carry. The healing that expands backward and forward in time does not occur in the present moment as something isolated. Healing is not only an action you take for yourself. Healing is a multidimensional phenomenon. When you change, when you realize the truth about the relationship between you and your mother, when you no longer see the past as a burden, immediately the movement of energy begins to expand in two directions. Backward toward the ancestors and forward toward the generations not yet born. Healing is not only the ending of your own wound, it is the ending of a story that has existed long before you. There are pains that do not begin in your life. They come from those who lived before you, from decisions they could not change, from wounds they did not have enough awareness to face, from limitations they did not have the capacity to overcome. And because they could not break the cycle continued to follow the bloodline until it met you. When you step into the healing journey, you are not only releasing your own wounds, you are facing the wounds your ancestors never had the chance to resolve. The women in the family who were never loved in the right way, the men who were never allowed to cry, the children who grew up in silence, the pains held as secrets. None of these disappeared. They only waited for the final one, strong enough to break them. You are that person. Not because you are more perfect, but because you are the first to see the pattern, the first to ask the question, the first to realize that something has never been touched. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. When you no longer operate from the wound, your frequency shifts, and that frequency begins to create a ripple. The people around you begin to change. The mother changes. The father changes. The siblings change. Your children change, not because you ask, but because the energetic system is no longer maintained by pain. Healing is always a chain reaction. No one can touch the truth without shaking the entire bloodline. When you step into this energetic field, you are no longer an individual. You become a pivot point, a place where the past and the future meet, a place where the silence of previous generations finally finds a voice, a place where old limits dissolve. There are moments when you feel the pain within you does not belong to you. You feel it is larger than your life, deeper than your experience, as if you are carrying the emotions of someone who lived long before you, because that is the truth. A part of the pain you are healing is not yours. It belongs to the souls who came before you. And when you release it, they are released as well. Healing is the opening of a new space for the lineage, a space where no one has to live according to the old patterns anymore, where no one has to carry the fear of the previous generation, where no one has to stay silent about their pain. When you step into this energetic field, you are not only changing yourself, you are changing the entire timeline. Healing that expands backward and forward in time is a soul event. It happens beyond the limits of physical time. When you heal at a deep level, you are telling the system that the story ends with you. It does not continue. It does not repeat. It does not pass to the next generation. And at that moment, your family steps into a new timeline. You do not awaken only for yourself. You awaken for those who were silenced. You step out of the old pattern so that those after you do not have to carry it anymore. You become living proof that pain is not the ending. It is only the beginning of liberation. Healing is not forgetting the past. It is looking at it with new awareness, seeing it not with fear, but with understanding, seeing it not with blame, but with consciousness, seeing it not to run from it, but to step through it. And each step you take is not only your step, it is the step of the souls behind you and the souls ahead of you. Healing expands backward and forward in time because you are not only an individual, you are the connection of the lives before and the lives after. You are the bridge between the past and the future. And when you heal, you are placing the final point on an old story and opening the doorway for a new story to begin. The return to the true self and the soul reunion is not the final part of the story. It is the part where everything finally returns to its rightful place. When you walk through the wound, when you see the shadow, when you break the ancestral pattern, when you see your mother through the eyes of the soul, you begin to realize what this journey has always pointed toward. Not to become someone else, but to return to your true self. You did not lose your true self. You only covered it with layers of protection that life forced you to carry. Layers of fear, layers of self-defense, layers of distorted beliefs, layers of family and societal expectations. When you still carry these layers, you always live as a self designed to survive, not a self made to be free. Return to the true self is the moment you begin removing the layers one by one, not through effort, but through awareness. Each time you heal a part of yourself, one layer falls. Each time you are no longer triggered by the same old wound, one layer falls. Each time you choose to act from consciousness instead of reacting from instinct, one layer falls. And when enough layers are removed, you see what has always been there. The true self. The true self does not need to be created. It only needs to be remembered. It has never been destroyed by the wound, never distorted by the past, never limited by the family. It only fell asleep under the layers of what does not belong to it. And when you return to the true self, you feel something strange. You are no longer defined by old pain. You are no longer controlled by fear. You are no longer required to live by anyone's expectations. Return to the true self is also the moment you see your mother with a new awareness. She is no longer the cause of everything. She becomes a part of the perfection of your journey. You understand that she did exactly what her soul was able to do. You understand that every difficult moment between you and her was part of the soul contract. You understand that what she could not give you was exactly what you were meant to find within yourself. When you see this, soul reunion begins. It is not about you and your mother becoming perfect with each other. It is not about the two of you agreeing with each other. It is not about the past disappearing. Soul reunion happens when you no longer see your mother through the wound, when you see her through the soul, when you understand that neither of you has ever stood on opposite sides, when you understand that every conflict was only the pushing of each other toward the true self. Soul reunion does not require verbal reconciliation. It happens in energy, in the eyes, in silence. When you stand before your mother and are no longer affected by the past, when you no longer need an apology, when you no longer need anyone to confirm whether you were right or wrong, when you know that everything has unfolded exactly as it should, when your soul returns to the true self, you see the world through a different lens, no longer from the perspective of lack, no longer from the perspective of the wound, no longer from the perspective of the victim. You see from the level of the creator. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? You ask, where is this leading me? You no longer react to life. You converse with it. And when you stand at that level, you see that your mother never separated from you. She only played a different role in this journey. You and she are connected by an unbreakable thread. Not because of blood, not because of obligation, but because the souls chose each other long before, not to live together in perfection, but to grow together, each at a different level, each carrying a different lesson, but in the end both walking toward the same direction, toward the true self. Soul reunion is not a return to the past. It is a return to the truth that no one enters your life by accident. No one hurts you without a lesson behind it. No one plays the antagonist in your story. They only play the role the soul agreed upon. And the mother is the first soul who did that. When you return to your true self, you return to freedom. You no longer depend on external love to feel complete. You no longer depend on validation to know your worth. You no longer seek safety in others. You are your own safety. You are that source of love. You are the point of connection between the past and the future of the lineage. The return to the true self and the soul reunion is the moment you step out of the old role. You are no longer the version controlled by the patterns of the family. You are no longer the result of the wound. You become the result of awakening. You no longer repeat the old story. You write a new one. When you reach this point, the journey does not end. It shifts into a new chapter. You no longer travel to repair the past. You travel to build reality. You no longer seek a guide. You become the guide. You are no longer forced to look backward. You begin to look forward, not with fear, but with clarity. And the most beautiful thing about this stage is you realize that the soul has never been apart from you. It only waited for you to remove the old layers so you could see it. You do not become someone else. You return to who you have always been. And when you reach this point of reunion, you do not only return to your true self, you bring the entire lineage back into the light. You become the proof that every wound leads to the same place, the place where the soul remembers itself